I don't know what it is about franchises having a perfect ending, then digging them back up for one last crusade. Wait, of course I do. Money. And with that, we now have Indiana Jones 5. Now, the first act of this movie was a throwback to the old Indiana Jones. Indy is fighting Nazis on a train, trying to liberate certain artifacts with a new friend. And I say friend lightly because every time they interact, it seems like Indiana is just tired of this guy's shit. So it's a great start to this movie. Then we cut to the present, and Indiana is living alone. What happened to his family? Well, his son died in Vietnam, which caused his marriage to fray, and they got a divorce. So much for
whom God hath put together, let no one tear asunder.
Why are these characters always old, bitter, and living alone? First Luke, then Han, now Indiana Jones. Eventually, Indiana 2.0 walks in looking for ye old time machine. A machine built by the genius Archimedes to, well, time travel. Of course, no sooner does she get it from Indiana than the Nazis show up to liberate it. They want to use the dial, or should I say, our main villain wants to use the dial to go back in time and win the war. Now Indiana has to find Indiana 2.0 and clear his good name. Oh yeah, did I mention he's being framed for the murders that the Nazis committed? He doesn't want anything to do with ye old time machine and adventure anymore, but it's the only way he can get out of jail time. For some reason. So, can he rise to the challenge, embrace his adventurous side again, and realize that Indiana 2.0 can be the kid we never really got to see him have? Tell me when you get the answers, because I'm still trying to figure them out. Now, I will admit, I actually walked out of this theater having enjoyed the movie for the most part. Mainly, I was shocked they actually used Indiana Jones in the film and didn't shove him to the side like,
What'd you do?
I bypassed the compressor.
They have Indiana as the experience and more of the random knowledge, whereas Indiana 2.0 is more detail-oriented and a translator. Of course, then I sat down and started writing my review.
Ah, come on, we did the pros and cons.
So other than the basic 3 positives being that they actually used Indiana Jones in this film, which I don't know if that's so much as a positive as more of just a surprise on my part. The first act is incredible, being that classic Indiana Jones feel. And the main Nazi was actually a decent villain. Of course, the bad stuff heavily outweighs the good stuff. The biggest issues in this movie are the logic leaps that it wants you to make. It tries to rush character development. It tries to rush the plot along, which is weird because it's a 2.5-hour movie filled with a bunch of fluff, mainly through the chase scenes, which take forever. There are a bunch of plot points that go nowhere. Like Indiana 2.0 meets her ex-boyfriend who's a mobster. There's a chase scene that ensues between the Indiana team, the Nazi team, and this ex-boyfriend. Why? It's spectacle. That's really about it. Not to mention the logic leap that Indiana is accused of murder. So he goes after Indiana 2.0 to clear his name. Apparently, stopping the Nazis from getting a hold of an ancient artifact isn't enough for him anymore, even though that's exactly what he was doing at the beginning of this movie. Then in the third act, this movie completely falls apart. Not that it wasn't doing that beforehand, but time travel is a sticky issue to deal with. All in all, this is a fun action-adventure treasure hunt movie, but is it an Indiana Jones movie? I mean, it has Indiana Jones in it, but if you really want to see this movie, wait till it comes out on streaming. Save yourself a couple of bucks, and that way you can rewatch that first sequence over and over and over again. The truly great parts in this mediocre film.